Okay, so we are back with another professional water cooler chat, and I'm going to call this a confident collaboration edition because this is going to be going right to my podcast, Confident Collaborations. So thank you, actually, Renee, for that. The beautiful graphic your team did. I was like, yes, I probably should be mentioning that as well. But um, hey, doing a few too many things. But any case, Renee, please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I am T. Renee Smith. I am CEO of iSuccess Consulting and author of the CEO Life. Guys, we are dedicated to helping 1 million CEOs build a holistic life and business and build generational wealth through entrepreneurship. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So we are streaming to Facebook and LinkedIn. And over on LinkedIn, there's a lot of people who are professionals, and some people might have their own consulting, thing that they're doing as well. And balance is everything. And so I wanted to sort of talk about that because when we talked, I took pages of notes from our
Oh.
conversation, and you talked about this very interesting framework around having simple systems to help you scale in a way that preserves you, that
Mhm.
preserves your family and your sanity. And that was like all things I love to talk about. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about your connection to working with teams and people to help them scale, because it's one, there's lots of people who gives lots of advice, but I do
Mhm.
want people to kind of know like where it came from, because you came on my radar. I actually went out searching for you in a way, and when I
The
saw this
universe brought you me.
and when I saw all of the amazing things that you have been involved with, I was like, you know what, I would love for her to talk a little bit more about this. So yeah, share about some of the, and I don't know, maybe you can't share the companies that you've worked with, but
Well, first
yeah.
of all, you asked 12 questions in one. That was
I'm
kind of
sorry.
sneaky. That was
I,
kind of sneaky.
I'm sorry.
So
I've been told
you
that
just went
before.
under the radar. So the first thing I want to talk about before I get into the systems is the balance thing. And what I always say is there is no such thing as balance. I look at balance like if you were juggling balls in the air, your arms are going to get tired and something is going to fall. And so that's what happens when you think of balance. And when you don't get it right or when it's not working out, you get frustrated because you think that you're doing something wrong. So one thing that I teach my clients is focus on harmony or focus on work life integration, because sometimes your personal life, your family's going to get more, sometimes your business is going to get more. It depends upon which season that you're going into. So number one, balance is a myth. You have to just work on harmony and integration. Number two, when it comes to systems, people oftentimes think about systems in their business, but they don't think about systems in their personal life. So, in order for you to be effective in scaling your business, you also have to make sure that you're effective in creating systems for your personal life. So, I'm going to talk first about the personal systems and then two about the business systems. So most of us, as women, we just are, and we're, in that entrepreneur mode, we just are the ones in our family, the one that everybody comes to, whether we're married, single. We're the ones that when people need problems solved, they come to us. When people need money, they come to us. We 9 times out of 10 are the smartest one in our circle, or we're the ones that get things done in our circle. So without systems, it's very difficult to be able to maintain all of these different roles. So, my clients, whether it's small businesses that I work with, executives at companies such as Delta Airlines or Southern Company, we work on what are the personal systems that you need. If you're a wife, if you're a mom, how are you going to do those domestic things at home? Are you going to hire help? Are you going to hire your personal team at home? Or are you going to do these things or are you going to delegate them? So, the way that I teach systems is the 3D method. You've got to decide, is it something that you're going to do? Is it something that you're going to delegate? Or is it something that you're going to delete? Because you can have it all. You can define what all means to you, but you cannot do it all. Right. So one thing that I say is that systems enables you to do and versus or. So a lot of people think that if I want to be this great mother or if I want to be this great wife, then I may have to focus on that. Or if I want to climb the professional ladder, if I want to have a successful business, I have to do that. So for me, one of the reasons why I even wrote the CEO Life book is because I said I want to do both. And so I went out there and I was searching for a book that showed me how to build systems in my business, how to build systems in my personal life, and have success at both. So I found these two different genre books, but I didn't see it together and I didn't see it written from a woman's perspective, right? I heard a lot of men that were saying, just grind all night, just get it done, work 10 hours a day. Or I may hear someone else over here say, well, all you have to do is work 4 hours a week. And so it just did not work for me. Right. So the very first thing that you have to do with systems, whether it's your business or your personal life, you have to define what you want your life to look like or what you want your business to look like. Does that make sense? That's number one.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you got to get clear on what you want it to look like. So in your business, there are 5 things that you have to focus on, and it's my build method. Number 1 is business strategy. Number 2 is unique branding. The I is for integrated marketing and sales. L is for leverage systems, and D is decisive delegation. So in each one of those areas, you have systems. But first, you got to decide what your sweet spot is, because that's the thing that you need to be operating in, your gifting, and doing what it is that you want to do. And so once you figure that out, that lets you know what you're going to be doing. And then now you can put the systems in place for it.
Mm. You said I asked you 12 questions at once, and then you dropped like 50,000 gems that can send me in so many different directions. So I guess we're even now. Wow. Okay. Um, a concept that you had shared, you kind of talked about as far as a business, like scaling in a way that preserves sanity. Sometimes when professionals are, say that they're working in an enterprise company,
Hmm.
they're leading teams, they're doing great, and they decide to, maybe offer consulting in a non competitive way alongside that. And sometimes those professionals, I don't know I don't want to say they forget, but sometimes they end up working harder and not smarter. Instead of working with the one or two large enterprise companies, they're working like 50 with like 50 smaller things. You're nodding your head like you've seen that
I'm
before.
guilty. I've done it. I've done it. My clients have done it. We've all done it, right? So, what people have to understand, working for a corporation is way different than starting your own business. With a corporation, you have that guaranteed paycheck. When you start and you start doing it on the side, you're like, well, okay, well, let me just work with anybody that's going to pay me, right? And so what happens is you don't really know, or most people don't really know, because there's a difference. You can be very confident in your abilities and your skills in corporate because you refined it. It's familiar to you. You're used to it. When you walk into this whole new world of entrepreneurship, it's a whole different mindset shift. And so what happens is most people do not shift that mindset, so they bring the employer mindset with them as well. So the very first thing that you have to do is you have to get clarity on what you want to do and who you want to work with. So if you don't shift into a CEO mindset, you're going to work with anybody that is going to pay you. You're going to be doing any kind of projects, that somebody's offering to pay you, because you've not really taken the time to sit down to decide what it is that you want. So, Amelia, when you jumped out and when you started working, were you crystal clear on what you wanted to do, or were you kind of just testing the waters, seeing what you like and that's normal. So, 9 times out of 10, you're going to figure out what you don't like first before you find. Most people do not walk out and start working with their ideal client or their dream client because they don't know what it is, right? So, you might like doing something in corporate. You step into your own business and you try to do the same thing, but you don't remember that corporate has systems in place. It has additional people. Like, it's not the same level. Let's just say you do training in corporate, right? So you may actually deliver the training, but you have a whole nother team member that writes the training. You have a whole nother team member that schedules the training. Like, you have a team of people. But then when you jump out to do it by yourself, you're writing the course, you're scheduling the training, you're printing out the marketing materials, you're putting the books together, and you realize that that's not even what you want to do. But you were so excited that somebody was going to pay you for it, so you jumped out and did it. So it's a normal process to kind of work with different clients. They're underpaying you, they're not paying you enough. That's part of the process because you're really getting your feet wet to determine what you like and what you don't like. I know that's not popular. You have everybody, posting on social media. They working with six-figure clients. They doing all this other kind of stuff, but they didn't tell you it took them 5 years to get there. So they have this false perception that when you step out day one, that's what's gonna happen.
So let's say somebody is listening to this, right? They've
Well, I
been
hope somebody's listening to
Yes,
it.
and they are. And if you're here, say hello because the numbers go up and down. Feel free to say hello. And I always say this like towards like the end is like I screen everybody for like approachability and friendliness. So if you are seeing me talk to somebody, that means that you can also reach out to them directly, um, too. But say somebody is say somebody has been had their own business for like 5 years, right? They're definitely over all of the tiny projects, and they've heard about working with the deltas of the world, and they've heard about working with larger corporations and enterprise companies, but that's not necessarily they've been networking with over the past 5 years. Beyond hiring you, um, what and absolutely, what suggestions would you say to somebody who's trying to develop relationships with decision makers at enterprise companies?
Well, first of all, I think that you were on a call that I had earlier today with one of my membership clubs. I was talking to them, and one of the clients, she was having the exact same problem. Number one is you have to develop the confidence, and this is not what most people are going to say. Most people are going to start with the positioning, but number one, you have to develop the confidence to know that you will be able to work with these organizations and clearly understand your expertise. They can transfer from working with a smaller organization to a larger organization, right? So she actually did have people, let's say, like within her LinkedIn profile, or she had people that could give her referrals, but she wasn't confident enough yet. So, number one, you've got to work on your mindset and you have to work on your confidence and your worth and your value to be able to say exactly what I did for these small businesses with some tweaks I can do for a corporation. That's number one. You got to get clear on your mindset. Number two, you got to get crystal clear on who your ideal client is, because all corporations are not going to be a good fit for you. So you've got to decide who or what companies would be a good fit for you. And then you have to decide what is going to be the product and the service offering that you're going to provide, and what is the value that you're going to provide. Why your company versus somebody else? Are you more innovative? Are you more nimble? Are you able to deliver higher quality? Is your pricing better? So you got to decide what is that differentiating factor for you. And then the fourth thing is you got to really put yourself out there on surround sound. But what you want to do is you want to position yourself as the expert where they are coming to you. We're in such an age of value based content. So if you are out there and you're providing value, I'm not talking about posting, on LinkedIn and Instagram photos about your trip that you just went on. That's great. But if I am a potential client, you're not solving my problem. So you need to be out there and you need to be solving my problem. Let's just say, for instance, and this was the client that I was talking to earlier. She does branding, and so she said these companies, they have these huge branding agencies. Why would they want me? So number one, we had to work on your confidence, and we had to say, listen, yes, they have larger agencies that do branding, but they subcontract smaller contracts to other branding agencies. Two, you love training, so how about we look at developing a training course on intrapreneurs and personal branding being aligned with corporate branding, right? So we were coming up with what are some different things where she could offer value, right? And so the value or the outcome would be these corporations are really concerned about making sure that their brand is consistent, right? They are in this age of where they want to make sure that they're doing employee training and development. So whatever the benefit is, then you've got to decide what that is. And so then you find out whatever the problem is, and now you go out there and provide the value. So if what you're pitching to corporations is that it's important for entrepreneurs to have their brand aligned with the corporate brand. So now what do you think I'm going to talk about when I'm on LinkedIn, when I'm posting on Facebook? Three tips to do this, three keys to make sure that your employees. And so when you're putting it out there, then you you're putting yourself in a position where the ideal client is going to come to you. Because if you don't have the contacts, then you have to put yourself out there to be able to attract them. But you're not going to attract anybody if you don't have any confidence. If you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it.
Facts all day. And what I noticed is, for lots of reasons, the B2B buyer nowadays self-educates. They know how to Google. They have been doing this, depending on their age, they're, more than half of their life. They know how to go out and get information. So in their search of finding information, if you're, you know, if you're not coming up as like a resource or a trusted resource, and thanks to so many different platforms, we all can choose to become a trusted resource, put into practice the things that you've said if we want to. And so for brands that don't do that, that they don't have any helpful, valuable content, when it's so easy to do that, that also says, that might say a lot too.
So I'm gonna tell you
Um,
the truth. I'm gonna tell you the truth. But first of all, when you called me, you had already done all your research and everything else. I didn't have to say anything. You were like, "Cause what you said was this," and so that is the power or the value. But the truth of it is this: if you're going to put systems in place, if you're going to position yourself to be able to up level, it is going to require work, and it's very difficult to up level your business, attract new clients, and still go after at the same level of intensity and work on the clients that you've been working with. So for me personally, and with my clients, I've noticed that when you're looking to work with a different level of client, and you take the time to do the branding, you take the time to start offering the value, your revenue may you may have some lesser zeros for a minute, because you're going to have to take some of that time that you normally would be spending serving these clients that are not paying you as much as you want to pay, to put these systems in place. And then on the other end, if you're over here working with, all these other clients here, and you have that time and attention, then you won't get the systems in place. So it's very much you have to decide what season you're in and what is priority. If you want to systemize your business, if you want to create a customer journey where people are going to find me with through Facebook or through LinkedIn because I'm posting valuable content, I'm doing valuable videos, right? Then the amount of time that you're going to have to service initially, because you're going to have to put the work in to research, find the problem, that you solve, who the ideal client is, then you're going to have less time. So what happens with most CEOs or most small business owners, because I would say most entrepreneurs, most solopreneurs, because when you're in a CEO mode, you're overseeing. So most people that are in a solopreneur mode, they just work in their business. They don't work on their business. And so all they do is they have their head down, they're getting the work done, but they're not doing any strategy. And so if you want to go from low paying clients to premium clients to corporate clients, you're going to have to come out of the doing the working on your business, and I mean working in your business, and work on your business to create a strategy, because you've not done it before. And so you're going to have to create a strategy or a roadmap. But that's why most people stay in solopreneur, because they continuously do what they've always done. And that means they continue to get the same results.
hmm. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Jarrell says, hey, Jarrell, how are you?
Hey, Jarrell.
Yeah. So, one of the reasons that I wanted you to speak to this, because, well, for lots of reasons, but there are a lot of people who talk about scaling and growing and whatnot, and there's lots of ways that it can go. But what I love about your story is that you actually have worked with corporate clients, and and it might seem like a small thing, but I'm just curious, like, when did you first start working with corporate clients, if you don't mind sharing? Like,
It was a long time ago. So I was
mhm.
19 when I first started my business. So about 5 years ago. I'm just kidding. And so probably within a year and a half or 2 years, we were working with state clients, we were working with government clients, and then shortly after that, we were working with corporate clients. But it's different. Like the timing is totally different now than it was back then. Back then, it was so much easier to work with corporate clients. You had red tape, but you didn't have as much red tape as you do now. Technology was not as advanced back then. This was way before Y2K. Do you remember that? So if you were knowledgeable, it was much easier because you didn't have so much competition. So it's totally different. Like if I was just now starting my business today, it would be totally different because there's so much more competition that I would have to be way more strategic and make sure that my brand and my messaging had me to stand out.
Mm,
So it's
awesome.
definitely harder these days.
Gotcha. Harder, but not impossible, right?
Oh,
Because
excuse me, nothing is
yes.
impossible. Impossible says I'm possible.
Mm,
No, I am the one that says you get what you see. So if you see that something is difficult, it's going to be difficult. If you see something as this is an opportunity for me to figure out, then that's what it is. Oh, best believe I would still be at the same level of growth that I am. It just probably would have taken me longer to figure out. Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't prep you for this. And that figuring it out part, is that something that you still support people with as well? You mentioned a client like a couple times, like during this call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what happens is I support small businesses or entrepreneurs at several different levels. So there are three phases of your business, and I want to go ahead and clear up the difference between grow and scale because there's a difference. So it's three different levels. It's the startup phase, it's the growth phase, and it is the scale phase. In the startup phase, that is when you are really testing the viability of your product and your service, and you're seeing does it fill a need? Are people going to buy it? So a lot of people they think startup and they think that it's just somebody starting their business, but look around. You have businesses that have been in business 4 or 5 years. They are still testing different products. They don't have consistent clients. They're still in the startup phase. So, startup phase is you're trying to figure out the right product, you're trying to figure out the right client, and you're trying to, and I don't like to use the word trying, you're figuring out. And I don't say try because you either do or you don't. So let me take try out. So you're figuring out that fit for your client, for your product, and for your market. So that's the startup phase. And so I have a program, and that's called the CEO Membership Club. And we meet once a month. And you have 12 training modules that you go through. And it's the 12 different areas in your business that you need to work on for growth. We have daily texts that we do as far as motivational. We have interactivity, but that's where you want to start the CEO Life Membership Club because that's where you're going to get the foundation. Like a lot of us, we like to skip. We like to start our business on Monday and we think by Friday we're going to be at six figures. It doesn't work like that. I know Instagram and Facebook, they didn't sold y'all that dream, but it does not work like that. So the startup phase, that's the CEO Life Membership Club. Then you get to the growth phase. The growth phase is you are making money. You have a viable product, you have a viable idea, you have recurring clients, you're putting some systems in place. Let's just say you may be putting a marketing system in place where you do email marketing, you do your social media, you have a CRM, customer relationship management. So in this phase here, you have proven your idea, it is working, and you are making money, and you have some systems. So in the growth phase, what you say is, I want to invest more into my business. Maybe you are a solopreneur. Now you're getting more clients and you realize that you need help. You either need help with things like marketing, you may need an administrative assistant, or you may need help with someone delivering the services. But you are kind of max capacity. And in order for you to take on more clients, you have to add more to it. It could be a technology system, like I was saying, a CRM. It could be more people, but you have to add in order to grow. So that's the growth phase. The scale phase is you have systems in place, you have your people in place, and now you can add on more money. You can add on more money, and you don't have to invest as much in the resources. So, for instance, the CEO Life Membership Club. It went from the startup phase when I first launched it to the growth phase where I was recruiting members to now the scale phase, which means that I could add 50 more people to the program, 100 more people into the program, but the technology is already there, the systems are already there. I don't have to invest any more money in it. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes
So
sense.
you could offer a couple of different services, and each one of them can be in different phases. So, like one of the members of the group, she actually is she does retail, so she has like a retail space. And she's been doing that for about 12 years, so that is actually in the scale phase. But then she also has a subscription box that she's just now launching, which that is in the startup phase. So your business could have different services that you offer, but it could be in different phases. And the one thing that I want to say is a lot of times we are not successful because we're jack of all trades and a master of none, and we attempt to do so many different things. So focus, land, and then expand. And that simply means land in one area, be known for one thing, perfect that thing, build a reputation, build consistency in that thing. And then once that's successful, now you can expand to do different things.
Mm, this is perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. I try to keep these like to 20 minutes, but I this I could keep talking to you for a while. And what I love about what your approach to it is, so I'm a registered nurse by trade. I'm currently involved with consumer insights. That's the story. If anyone is curious about that, reach out to me. Love to talk to you about it. But really, it's about wanting to create more human focused experiences. And what I love about your approach to it is like you have systems and something, for people in healthcare, we know like a system is a system is a system, whether it's, your respiratory system, digestive system, there's certain things in place that are that's supposed to function in a certain way. And if there is a unbalance, something will happen. And the goal really is to go back to homeostasis, get the thing back into balance. And so your approach to setting up a business system works for the solopreneur. It works for the business that is in startup mode, that is growing versus scaling. It works because you're working on systems and how a system functions for a solopreneur versus someone who wants to work with corporate organizations. Those systems will of course look a little differently, but just like how you're different from me and different from the next person, a doctor can treat you because all because we it's a system, they're expert in the system, and that's what I love about your approach. You're about to say something.
I was going to say a couple things. Number one, your system will evolve. It doesn't have to be perfect, but a lot of people are they're not open to systems because they're not open to delegating. They will say, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done right. And so, what I would say to that is, if you don't develop systems, you will be the business and the business will never grow. So, if you don't work, you will not eat. If you try to take, or if you go on vacation for 2 weeks and you don't have systems in place and you don't have, team members or anything like that, and that's something that you'll grow to, then you're going to be a slave to your business. And so it's not going to be this great entrepreneur, experience where you have flexibility, you have freedom. So that doesn't just happen. You have to create that within the business.
Mhm.
And
Awesome.
everybody needs systems.
Hmm. Hmm. Awesome. Awesome. Just one more question before we go. Are you still working with corporate clients now,
Yeah.
or is you are?
So yeah, so my business is two different divisions. So we have a division that works with corporate clients, and then we have a division that works with small businesses. And again, it goes. We work with businesses in the startup phase, the growth phase, and the scale phase because you all need different things. And I did want to make sure that I say this to you guys. Stop getting information overload, right? You're Googling everything, you're YouTubing everything, you're piecemealing all of the recommendations that people have. And so the strategies probably are not succinct. One person says do this, one person says do that, and that's the reason why it's not working for you. If you're going to work with a coach, if you're going to buy books, if you're going to watch taping, find somebody that you like, find somebody that you can resonate with, that has had success, and follow their system all the way through. Because what happens is people are like, well, I tried it for 2 months or I tried it for a week and it did not work. Did you go through the whole system? So stop working with 20 different people, meaning you YouTubing this person, you going to this master class over here, you trying to get this free. Don't do that. Find somebody that you can identify with and go through that system. And the last thing is, what you invest in your business is what you're going to get out. I was doing a training, and I was talking to a CEO. I won't even say CEO because she didn't have a CEO mindset. I was talking to a business owner, and she had problems in investing money in getting her copy written, her brand copy. She was like, I'm not attracting the right clients. I need to write my brand copy, but I'm not going to invest that. And I said, but you want people to pay you 10, 15, $20,000, and you won't even invest $1,000. So that's why you attract the clients that want everything for free, because that's your mindset. So your business will only grow in direct parallel with your mindset. So if you have a scarcity, a lack mindset, you're not going to invest in your mindset, then those are the kind of clients that you're going to attract.
Mm, mm, mm. Um, Cosign for what it's worth on all of that. Yeah. And the thing is because there's lots of things that work for different people. There isn't like one specific path.
Not one
So,
size.
so if you, and that's the thing is like, I didn't say this, but my degree is in healthcare, right? And so when I started my own business, I was like investing in everybody that knew more than me when it came to marketing. And it's like, hey, guess what? My degree was in nursing. So lots of people knew more than me, and it was like I was definitely like easily impressed, and that definitely delayed stuff because it was like fractured focused. And right now I'm in a different role where I am learning about enterprise sales, and there's so many amazing people who teach about enterprise sales, and I'm trying to not go after each and every one who has a great course or podcast, and just that's hard. But I kind of went on a spree this weekend, so I'm really glad that we talked. And yeah, I probably need to go back and look at some of my purchases. Slash, after we pause this, I'm going to be asking you a couple more questions, and we might need to do a part two
Okay.
for the corporate folks, because from my work, this is a time of transition and growth and change for a lot of people in enterprise companies. And and there's lots of things I want to talk about, and I'm just kind of curious about to hear more about that. And we're already over 20 minutes, but how can people continue the conversation with you and keep in touch? Do you have anything that's coming up that you have links for people? Yeah, please share.
So the first thing that I want to tell you is that it's so important that you do the inner work. And I always say is you healing your inner CEO, because that is going to affect your business and how you show up. For most people, they don't need another marketing strategy. They don't, well, some people do. But for those that have purchased 100 courses like you have over there, and you have the information and the knowledge, we have to figure out what is that missing link for you executing. And so you've got to work on your mindset, and you have to work on your confidence. So I want to give you guys a couple of things. So number one, my free 5-day CEO confidence challenge. It really is a game changer, because it's really looking at your mindset. It's kind of helping you to get clear on your vision, your mission for you, what you want, setting boundaries, looking at the relationships that you're in, because they're going to either keep you stuck or help you soar. So you can get that free challenge at theceo.life, theceo.life. And then for others of you with your business, we talked about so much today. I have a free CEO business checklist, and it's going to tell you those key areas it's going to help you to assess in about 2 minutes which area do you have gaps in your business in, to let you know which area you need to focus on. So that is at theceo.life as well. So all of my goodies are at theceo.life, and you can follow me on all platforms at Coach T Renee, at Coach T Renee. And then yes, if you need some more resources, you can get the book, The CEO Life. Everything that I talked about today is in there plus more.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to be reaching out and grabbing the links for those too. I'll update the situation, and yeah, when I get this onto the podcast, I'll have that in the show notes. So Renee, thank you so much. Hold on real quick. Seriously, there's going to be a part two, and I know you're super busy, and while I still have you here, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. So
Okay.
thank you again for joining.
Bye, guys. Go implement.